Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Inain's Forensic Classroom. I hope all of you are doing well. So in our previous lectures, we understood what forensic biology and forensic serology are. Now from this lecture onwards, we are going to start learning how these subjects actually work in real forensic investigations. Now let me ask you a question here. Now imagine investigators discover a small drop of blood at a crime scene, okay? Now what do you think happens next? Does someone immediately send it for DNA analysis? Well, that's not what happens. Before that tiny blood stain can become evidence in a courtroom, it has to go through a long scientific journey. Now, every step in that journey is important because even a single mistake can reduce its evidentiary value, or in some cases, it can make it completely useless. So today we are going to follow the journey of biological evidence from the moment it is discovered at a crime scene until it is presented before a court of law. Now the journey starts at the crime scene. Okay, now when investigators arrive at the crime scene, their first responsibility is not to collect the evidence. And yes, you heard it correctly. Many people think investigators immediately start picking up the objects, but that's one of the biggest mistakes that can be made. The very first task is to observe the crime scene first and observe it very carefully. The investigators look for anything that could be biological evidence. This may include visible blood stains, hair, saliva on a cigarette butt maybe, or there are tissues, bones, teeth, or clothings with suspicious stains, or even objects like water bottles, chewing gums, or coffee cups that may contain saliva or skin cells. And remember, biological evidence is not always visible. Some stains may be extremely small, or some may be partially cleaned or even invisible to the naked eye, which is why careful observation is so important. Now, once potential biological evidence has been identified, the next step is documentation. Now, before touching anything, investigators photograph the evidence from different angles. They also prepare sketches if it is necessary. They record the measurements and then they write the detailed notes. Now, you might also wonder, why spend so much time documenting something before collecting it? Now, imagine the evidence gets accidentally damaged during collection. Now, those photographs and those detailed notes become the permanent record of how the evidence originally appeared at the crime scene. So, documentation preserves the original condition of the evidence after, even after it has been removed. Now, only after the proper documentation does the actual collection process begins, right? Now, the method of collection, it depends entirely on the type of biological evidence. If you have a wet stain, wet blood stain, it may be collected differently from a dried blood stain. If you have a hair, it requires a different approach than if you have a saliva on a cup. Or if you see bones at a crime scene, it requires different handling as compared to the soft tissues. So this is why we don't follow one universal method for every type of biological evidence. The most important principle during collection is to prevent contamination and preserve the evidence in its original condition as much as possible. We will discuss, all the collection methods in detail in our next lecture. So after collection, the evidence must be packaged properly. Now, many of us think that packaging simply means putting evidence into the bag. Actually, packaging is much more important than that. The correct packaging protects your biological evidences from contamination, moisture, physical damage, and loss during the transportation. Now, I'll give you an example here. So your wet biological samples should always be allowed to dry before packaging, because if you package your wet evidences, there would be trapped moisture that will encourage the microbial growth, which can damage your biological material and it reduces the quality of DNA. Similarly, your different pieces of biological evidences should generally be packaged separately in order to avoid the cross-contamination. Also, we will learn the complete packaging procedures in a dedicated lectures. Now, once packaged correctly, the evidence moves to the next stage, which is preservation and transportation. Now, here the objective is very simple. The evidence that reaches the forensic laboratory should be in the same condition as when it was collected from the crime scene. Okay. Now, this means that maintaining proper storage conditions, protecting the evidence from heat, moisture, sunlight, and protect it from unnecessary handling during transportation. And now your evidence finally reaches the forensic laboratory. Okay, now this is the stage that most people are familiar with, because this is where your scientific examinations begin. Now, depending on the type of evidences and the questions that are asked by the investigators, forensic scientists may perform serological examination. They identify body fluids, they can examine hair or tissues, or they can conduct DNA analysis or perform other laboratory tests. But here's something very important to remember. The laboratory can only examine the evidence that it receives. If the evidence was contaminated, if it was mixed with another sample, or if it was improperly preserved at the crime scene, even the most advanced laboratory cannot completely correct those mistakes. That's why every stage before the laboratory is just as important as the laboratory examination itself. Now, after the laboratory examinations are completed, we move on to the interpretation. Now, interpretation is much more, than just saying that, okay, the DNA matches. But what happens here is the scientist carefully evaluates the result. They consider the quality of the sample. They assess whether the findings are scientifically reliable. And after that, they prepare conclusions which are based only on the evidence available. Now, the interpretation is then documented in the form of a forensic report. The report explains what examinations were performed, what observations were made, the results obtained, and the scientific conclusions that can be drawn from those findings. Finally, the journey reaches its last destination, which is the courtroom. Now, this is where many people think that forensic science ends, but in reality it is where the scientific findings are explained to the judge and the court. A forensic expert may be called as an expert witness to explain the laboratory findings in a very simple scientific language. It is also important to understand that we do not decide whether someone is guilty or innocent. Our responsibility as forensic scientists is to present the unbiased scientific finding. The final decision always rests with the court. Now, if you have noticed something throughout this lecture, you will realize that every stage depends on one before it, right? If evidence isn't recognized properly, it won't be collected. If it is not documented properly, the valuable information may be lost. If it isn't collected correctly, it may also become contaminated. If it isn't packaged and preserved properly, it may degrade. And if degraded evidence reaches the laboratory, the examination may be affected. And if the laboratory results are compromised, the evidence that is presented before the court may loses its value. Basically, the entire forensic process is like a chain, right? And just like any chain, it is only as strong as its weakest link. So today we followed the complete journey of biological evidence from the crime scene to the courtroom. Now, over the next few lectures, we are going to explore each stage of this journey in much greater detail. We will begin with the proper methods of collection, packaging, and preservation, so that the scientific value is maintained throughout the investigation. So if you have enjoyed today's lecture, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, Inain's Forensic Classroom, and please turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the upcoming lectures in the complete Forensic Biology and Serology series. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.